Hi guys, I'm just wanting to teach you some new skills today. I wanted to teach you about the fill tool, and it's a shortcut F for fill. So let's say that I go into edit mode because I want to edit my specific vertices, edges, or faces. I'm going to click on edit edge or edge select, and I will click just one edge, and then I'm going to hit delete, and I'm going to delete that edge. And you'll notice that the faces are going to go away because those faces needed that edge in order to exist. But you can fill in faces. So let's say I want to fill in a face just right here and I want to leave the top empty. I could click on that edge, hold down shift and select the other edge. And then I can hit F for fill and it will fill in the face. So that's a fun feature. Okay, and there are actually shortcuts. These are the numbers at the top of your keyboard. If you hit the number 1, let me click over here, hit the number 1, it will take you to vertex select, 2 will bring it to edge select, and 3 will bring it to face select. So I'm going to hit 1 and go to vertex select, and I'm just going to click and select that one vertex, and I'm going to hit shift D, and I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm just going to drop it anywhere. I'm going to hit Control Z real quick and hit 7 so that I'm in the top view looking down, and I'll grab once again that vertex right here if I can get it. It doesn't want to select. Let me hit save. Okay, so if I just slightly rotate that a little bit, it looks like I can see that it is actually selected. I'm not sure why it's not showing up when I'm in total top view. So I'm going to hit Shift D, and I'm going to grab that little vertex, and I'm just going to drop it right there. And then I'm going to extrude this vertex. And when I extrude it, it's going to make a line. So you're going to hit E, the shortcut for extrude, and then if you hit X, it will isolate that movement along the X axis, and then I'll just click, whoops, and drop it right there. And then I can also, and let me hit Control 8 so that I can pan up a little bit. I'm going to hit E for extrude again, and this time I'm going to extrude up here, so I'm kind of making a triangle. And then I think I can hit Shift, hold down Shift and select that, and then hit F, and it will fill between the two vertices that I had selected. And now to fill in the face of that, I can hit Shift and select the third vertex and hit the letter F for fill, and it makes the face. So that is one way, and let me hit 3 so I'm in side view, that you can create a triangle face. And then I can go ahead and let's see, I'm going to go into face select by hitting the number 3, and I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to hit Z to isolate it along the Z axis, and I'll drag that down, and look at that. That gives me a triangular prism. Very cool. So that's another way you can make shapes from scratch. Fun times. And now that I have that, if I don't want this box here, I can go to edit or back into object mode. Select. Oh, look at they're connected. Maybe I can't. I might have to go into edit mode and go into my vertex select and hit shift, select these vertices, right? And hit delete faces. Oh, I could have deleted the vertices and that would have been smarter. Hit Control Z, and let's go delete vertices. And I've got a couple vertices back down here. I'm going to go ahead and select one and hit shift, and then I will delete those vertices, and then that part of it disappears. But oops, look at that issue that it created over here. So let me go back to my face select, and select this face and hit E and Z and extrude it back down. Okay, that's better. I've got my shape now, and I can grab that and I can move it. Ooh, that's not what I expected to have happen. Apparently, I am not moving the whole object. I need to get into object mode. There we go. Now I can select the object and move it. Now the interesting thing that you're seeing though is that the center of the object, because I created that object from the vertex of that cube, the center of the object is still where the center of that cube was. So that did kind of create an issue for me where the center of the object isn't actually in the center of the object. So I want to talk about geometry a little bit. You have to be careful with the geometry that you create. The most user-friendly form of geometry is the 1, 2, 3, 4 vertice face. So basically a quadrilateral face, right? A square or rectangle. If you add a mesh UV sphere, you can zoom in and see that the faces, if I go into edit mode, are squares. And so let's go ahead and select one of the faces. There's a face, and I can hit delete and delete that face, and that's an option that you have. You can play around with them and hit Control Z. Let's imagine instead I'm going to hit 1 to select for vertex select. Let's say I have my vertices selected instead, and I hit delete, and I delete the vertices. You'll notice that it took a lot of the faces away because those 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices in the center were holding all of those little squares together. But the cool thing is now that I have that done, I can actually select by holding down Shift these 4 vertices right here, and I can hit F and fill those in with one face. Well, the issue that we kind of have there, and maybe it's an issue, Control 4 to pan over, maybe it's not, but you do kind of have this scenario where you can see through there. So I probably could have selected all of the vertices instead. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to grab all the vertices that are along those edges, and I'm going to hit F again, and there it filled it in nicely with one large quadrilateral. Very good. You have to be careful. At the top there are triangles. You can see if I go into face select, you'll notice that these are triangles. Triangles you only want to have if absolutely necessary, if there's no other way about it. Apparently when you go to animate, sometimes if there's triangles in your geometry, it can cause issues. I don't think it's going to cause an issue with this sphere because they are a part of this sphere, but just be really careful with triangles. Or creating geometry where there are more than 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. So yeah, just remember that the quadrilateral, the square, rectangle is the best geometry for animating. Okay, so a couple more shortcuts is if you hit the N as in normal, you can pull out this transform tool. You have to have something selected apparently. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into object mode and have my sphere selected. So if you hit N, it will make that transform toolbar disappear. If you hit N again, it will toggle it in back and forth. And so remember, we talked about how you can enter your X, Y, and Z values and your rotation values manually or scale it manually. And then over here, if you if you're in edit mode and you have something selected, you're going to have a lot more tool options. So this is called the toolbar, and if you hit the letter T, your toolbar will disappear, and if you hit the letter T again, your toolbar will pop out. If you grab the edge and pull it out far enough, you'll actually be able to see the names of the tools, and you can scroll up and down using your scroll bar if that helps. Of course, you don't have to have it pulled out that far. I'm gonna hit Control Z, but I don't know if that's gonna fix it back the way I like it. There we go. I just had to squeeze it in. If you hover your cursor over, it tells you what the tools are. So you don't have to have that pulled out and taking up all of that space if you don't want to. Let's just quickly review these tools that we've learned. The extrude, and it says the shortcut is E. So I'm going to face select here, make sure that's selected, and I'll hit E, and then that's going to extrude and pull it out. I can use different axes, so I can hit X and have it extrude along the X axis, or I can hit Y and have it extruding along the Y axis, which would be very awkward. I can hit Z and have that extruding along the Z axis. So I'll go ahead and do X. I kind of liked how that came out. Oh, you can pull it out through the other side too. All right, so I'm going to drop that there. And then we also have, if you hover here, insert faces. So I still have that face selected. The shortcut for inserting faces is I, so I'm going to hit I. And I'm not sure what happened there, so let me go ahead. Maybe I should try it over here. Select. Whoops, I don't know if my computer is starting to freeze up on me. I can't select this face over here. I'm going back into object mode, and I'm going to select this object instead. So I might have to hit tab and toggle to the other object if that's the one that I want to work with. And then I can go into edit mode, and then I can go into face select and select the face that I want. My goal here is to hit I and insert a face. There we go. Now when I move my mouse, it's just kind of forming this extra face in there, and I will just left click and drop it, and then if I go to the side, you can see that that is flush with the surface. So that gives me an opportunity now where I can hit E and I can extrude that backwards or pull it out. So that's another feature that you have. Then you also have, that looks fun, then you also have this bevel, and the shortcut is B. I've got this face selected. I'm going to hit B, and it's being wonky again. I'm just gonna try hitting some other faces and then see if that helps. This isn't giving me bevel. What's the shortcut? Let's hover. Oh, Control B. No wonder. Hold on, Control and B, and there. Now I'm getting a bevel. Now bevel is a little bit different. Woohoo. I think I have to right click to drop that bevel. It kind of looks exactly the same as the other one. So, I'm gonna hit Control Z. I'm gonna click on bevel. Bevel is Control B. Okay, so Control B. And I had to click. It really isn't doing anything different than the face select, so I'm not really sure what's going on here, but if you hit E, then you can extrude that out. Okay, there's the difference, is that it actually has the beveled edge, like if you were creating a frame. Okay, so there's the difference between just creating a face and creating that bevel. Perfect. And then today we're going to learn loop cut. So I'm just going to go to object mode, and I'm going to just, I want to box select. So I'm going to take my box select, and I'm just going to draw a box around everything and hit delete. And now all of that is gone. So I'm going to hit Shift A to add a mesh cube. Okay. And then I'm going to go into edit mode. Okay, I'm going to hit N because I want to get rid of that little, what do you call that? The transform menu over to the right. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to scroll out just a little bit, and I want to move this cube up so that it's actually on the surface of the XY plane. So I could actually hit N, and I could, if I have object mode selected, I can move the location of that up along the Z. I can try 1 and see if that does it. Yep. 1 unit will take it right so that it's sitting on the surface. Excellent. I can scale it so that the X is twice as long, or maybe I want to do the Y twice as long. Okay. I can, that's perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. I like it. Now I can put a floor in, add a plane, hit S, and drag my cursor to scale it. Perfect. So now I've got a house that's sitting on a surface, and I can hit Control and 6 and 4 to pan. Let's go ahead and add a roof. So I'm going to select the cube, not the plane. Select your cube and go into edit mode, and let's do face select. So shortcut 3, select the face, and we're going to hit E to extrude and Z to extrude straight up. Perfect. Then we can grab these two edges. So let's see. Maybe we can scale this face along the y-axis. So let's try S and Y and see if that does it. And sure enough, it is going to let me pull those close together. That's awesome. So there's my roof. Okay, let's add on to the house. So I'm in face select mode. I'm going to select this face and hit E and extrude out along Y. So hit Y. And this kind of creates a little partition on the side. Maybe it's my garage. Okay, let's do another trick here. I'm going to select the plane. So I'll have to go into object mode, select my plane, and I'm going to come over to the outliner, and I'm going to hide the plane so that I can see underneath my building. Let's select the building and go into edit mode and face select, and we're going to select that face, hold down shift and select that face, and then we are going to, let's see, I think we can do G and Z, whoops, sorry, G and Z, and then we can move that up and create a little tiny edge up there. And now since I still have those, sorry, I am trying to scroll and get to the right spot. I need to pan a little bit. So I can go ahead and hit E now to extrude back those two planes back down, and Z and bring it back down to the floor. Okay. And I can watch, if you look over at the right at my transform, I want that Z value to be at 1. So it's almost there. I can go ahead and type it in manually. Oops, no, that wasn't where I wanted it. It's -1, sorry, -1. Okay, perfect. Now it's right along the horizon. I can go ahead and bring my plane back. Okay, so the reason why I did that, I wanted to create this little lip right here because I'm gonna grab this face and extrude it so that I can have a little awning. So I will hit E for extrude. Whoops. Ding. E extrude, and I'll extrude it along the Y. Bring it out, and then I can also just G, grab it and move it down a little bit so that it's kind of at an angle. All right, perfect. So now I just need to put some pillars over here. And I can do that easily by holding Shift A to add a cylinder. Okay, and I'm just going to have to GY, grab it and move it over here so I can actually see it. And as you can see, it's like more like a swimming pool right now. So I'm going to hit S to scale it, and I'm going to scale it along everything except for the Z axis. So I'll hit Shift Z, And then that will scale it so that I can get it nice and skinny like this. Perfect. Now I can hit S and scale it just along the Z by hitting Z, and that's going to make it nice and tall for me. And I can grab that. I'm going to go G, X, and I'm going to slide it out this way, and then I'm going to hit G, Y, and slide it back here so that it's right underneath the awning. And then I'll hit Shift D to duplicate it. And I will hit G. Well, actually, when I duplicate it, it automatically is attached. So I just need to hit X so that it's only moving along my X axis. And then I can drop it there. Okay, so there we have it. That is just beautiful. Okay, so next I want to teach you the loop cut. So this is the loop cut tool right here, and the shortcut is Control R. Let's go into object mode really quick. Let's take a look. Okay, the whole object is selected. All right, perfect. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to hit, well, actually I'm already, since I've clicked on that tool, I'm in loop cut mode. So as I move my cursor close to the house, you'll notice that it's providing me different options of where I can cut things. So this is pretty fun. All right, so if I wanted to cut my roof in half, I could. But if I want to put a door in, this might be a good place for me to go ahead and left click. And once I left, whoops, hold on. Let's do it again. I'm going to left, no, yeah. That just automatically, Control Z. Maybe I'm going to click and hold. Okay, so it's not a left click, it's a left click and hold. And if I click and hold and drag that, I can decide where specifically I want to drop my loop. So I'm going to drop my loop right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and create another one. And I will drag that loop maybe right here. Okay, so I've got 2 new loops now, and I'm going to click off of that. I'll just go into my select mode. So I should be able to click on that and click on that. Perfect.
So what I'm going to do is,
okay, so let's say that you're not liking where you put it. You can go ahead, let's go back into loop cut mode, and I can hit, I think I can, no, I can't. I'm just adding a whole bunch of loops. I think I can hit G. I think it's too late. Let's see. I wanted to try to grab the whole loop, but it's not wanting me to. I'm going to hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Here we go. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So when once I've got that second loop cut selected still, and while it's still selected, if I hit G one time, you can see that it'll start moving things around really weird. I can hit G a second time, and it will actually allow me to slide the loop cut. So if I didn't like where I placed it the first time, I can hit G twice and slide it where I want it, and then left click to drop it. Okay, so if you get a loop cut and you just hit left click, it's just going to drop it right in the center. So hit G, and then that will give you the option where you could slide that loop cut over if you wanted to. So, whoa, G. Okay, and you can hit Control Z and get back to where you were before you did that too. Okay, so I'm going to try to create a door. So I'm going to go ahead and make a loop select that goes this way horizontally around my building. I'm going to click and I'm going to kind of drag it up a little higher. I want my door to be nice and tall. And then I can go into face select mode, just select my select pointer and select that face and hit delete. And I can delete that face, and boom, there I have a great big barn door. Looking good. Okay, so let's make some windows. Alrighty, I think what I'm going to do is come over to the side over here. I just want to show you another tool that's related to loop cut. And this is an offset loop cut, and you get to it by hitting Shift Control R. So first I'm going to do my loop cut, and I'm going to just left click to drop that loop cut and then leave it there for a second. Hold down all these keys at the same time, Shift, Control, and R. And when I do that, you'll notice that I get those double arrows. If I drag the double arrows out, you'll see that it's cutting two loops that are offset from that original one. So they're going to be centered. I can go ahead and drop those by left clicking. Then I'll go ahead and create a couple more loop cuts. I'm going to turn to the side a little bit more. I'm going to click and hold that and just drag that over here to create where I want that window to be, and then I will click and drag that one to pull it over to where I want that loop cut to go. Then I can go back into select mode. You have to do that first to select a face. Then I can select that face and hit delete face, and then I can hit that face and hit delete face. So now I'm able to create some windows like that. So these are just some different ways that you can creatively use your loop select to create the geometry that you need to have faces available that you can cut out, delete, extrude, etc.
Cool. So now we have that.
Okay. So if you're on loop cut and you go to edge select, you can hold down Alt and, whoops, let's hit Control Z because I created a couple. I'm going to hit Control Z again. I've just been playing around here. Okay, if I hold down Alt, I should be able to select. Oh, I'm on face select. That's why. Go to edge select, hold down Alt, and click on the face select that you want. And then you can hit X to get your delete menu up, or delete, and delete your edge loop. So if you delete that edge loop now, you'll see, I'm going to hit select and click off of it. That edge loop in the middle is gone, which is great. I could get rid of the edge loops that are, I'm not sure if I could get rid of the edge loops in the roof just because, but I might be able to go to edge select and just select that and hit delete. And let's see what happens if I delete that edge. Well, that happens, and I could technically delete all these edges by holding down Shift, delete the edges, and then I could go to these vertices, go to vertex select, and select, I want to make sure I have the right one, hold down Shift, 2, 3, 4, and hit F, and it will fill it with a flat face. So I hope that you are so thoroughly enjoying this, everyone. I know it's very technical, so much fun. Okay, let's take it another step further. I'm going to go to loop cut, and I'm going to get my edge select, and I'm going to hit Alt and select the edge around the window. And because I'm hitting Alt, it's selecting the loop. So you'll notice that around that window there's a loop, and I can select this other one too by holding down Shift and Alt and click that edge around that window. So now I have the edge loops around both of those windows selected. I can hit E and extrude and Y and extrude it straight back to make a windowsill. Get out. Get out. Okay, it's happening, people. I can, if I have edge select, I'm just going to go into my select mode, edge select, and click and hold shift to select these three. And I'm going to hit E and extrude along the X. So I'm going to hit X and pull these out, and I'm going to make kind of a little arch that comes out in front of the house. So that's something I could do. I could face select, and I can E extrude that up along the Z axis, and I can S scale along Y and bring that in. And you don't want them to cross over like that, because if they do, then when you go to render it, your normals, and I know that doesn't make any sense, but when it goes dark like that, that means that your normals are not facing the right direction, and it's not going to show up right when you go to render it. So there's another little feature there. Okay, so if you have gotten so far as to make yourself a little farmhouse like this, go ahead and save. And remember to save as always with your first and last name, and you can call this your farmhouse, and you can put loop select used, something like that, and make sure that you're in your, I'm in my 3D modeling folder, there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and click save as. So I've got that saved. You don't want to have too much in one file, just because it will start to slow you down. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start learning how to subdivide, which is really fun. Oh, but you know what? I realized I wanted to show you guys how to, I'm going to move that over. I wanted to show you how to use that loop cut, like for example on I'm going into object mode, and I'm going to deselect everything so that I'm not adding to the farmhouse or the floor, and I'm going to add a mesh cylinder. So let's go ahead and GY, move that out here. I can GZ and whoops, GY, I didn't drop it, that's why. GY, move it out here. And then I can go, well, I can just come over here since I have my transform out, and I can move. So I've got my Y to the left, and I can move my Z up 1, and I can just go ahead and make that an even 6. So it's just perfectly moved out to the side. And I wanted to show you loop cut with a cylinder. It's really fun to do loop cut with a cylinder. So I'm going into edit mode, and I'm going to click on this loop cut feature, and then you'll notice that I can just click and drag that loop cut down. I can create another loop cut above that. I can create another loop cut there, and just keep on making more loop cuts like this. And I have a feeling that, I'm not sure, somebody had made a fountain in here earlier, and it might have been using a similar method. But once you have these, how you can hold down Alt to select loop cuts, you just have to make sure that you are able to see what you're selecting. Now I can hit, like, let's go with the bevel. So bevel is Control B, or I can just click on bevel, and there's supposed to be a plus someplace, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to hit Control B, and that's not exactly doing what I wanted it to do. I'll hit E, and that, oh, that's very interesting. I'm extruding, and I'm only extruding, so I don't want E. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe I want S, and I want to scale it out. Okay, well, it looks like all I did was add a face. I don't really feel like that was really beveled, so I don't know what just happened there. What if I do, Alt and, oh, what if I have face select? I'm going to click off of it, face select, and I hit Alt. It will, there's what I was looking for. It will select all the faces. Yes. And that's when I can do the bevel. So beveling, remember, is Control B. So I can hit Control B, and I don't like what's happening here. This isn't doing what I was thinking it was going to do at all. But I'll go ahead and try that. And then I'll hit E, and I'll just, oops, nope, I don't want E. I want S. And I'm going to scale those out a little bit. So this is not doing exactly what I wanted it to do. I'm not sure what I'm trying to show you right now. I'm going to hit Alt, and I'm going to grab this loop right here, and I'm going to hit E, and oh, I'm not, you know, it's not E that I'm wanting. It's just S, and to scale that out. Okay. So how do I get it to bevel the edge? I'm going to go to Edge Select, and I'm going to hit Alt, and I'm going to just select that edge and see if I hit Control B, and that does any, oh, there's the bevel that I wanted. Okay, so there's how to bevel. All right, I don't know if you noticed that. That is getting pretty interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this face, Alt. Well, I got to go into Face Select, hit Alt, and select that face, and then I can S to scale it, and I can scale it in if I want to. So you'll see that I'm kind of getting these interesting structures. You can just play around with it a little bit. I'm going to go to Edge Select, and I'm just going to hit Alt and select that edge, and then I'll hit Control B and see what happens when I try to create a little bit of bevel. There it goes. So that creates a little bevel there. So you have more of a smooth transition. I can hit Alt and select that, and I can hit S and scale it. I can hit E and extrude that up, and S and scale, and E and extrude, and S and scale. Just remember not to twist it so your normals aren't funny. But those are some other fun things that you can do with loop cut and bevel and extrude. But you just kind of have to play around with it, and you know, it looks like I created some cool things. But look, I did create some triangles, and that's definitely not desirable, but it doesn't look too bad. I think it's okay. So I'm thinking I could go to Face Select, and I can hold down Shift, and I can select all these little faces in here, and I can hit Delete faces, and I can create this really cool building. Holding down Shift and just selecting those faces, hitting Delete faces. This is pretty cool. You do have to be careful that you don't accidentally grab the wrong surface, the wrong face. That happens sometimes. And I'm going to hit N to make that menu disappear and get out of my way. Okay, delete faces, and there we go. That's kind of fun. So there's just tons of things. The sky's the limit. But that is basically loop cut and just a review of some of those other tools that you have. Don't forget to save.